back before World War II. My grandmother lived through Holodomor and World War II, Nazi-occupied Ukraine. Holodomor, what do you learn, let's say, about human nature and about governments and nations from the fact that Holodomor happened? And maybe you could say what it is and why it happened.
Holodomor is a massive famine in Ukraine between the years 1932 and 1934. And it happened as the result of forceful collectivization of the agriculture and attempt on the part of Stalin also really roll Ukraine into the Soviet Union with basically no potential opposition from Ukraine, now national communists. So two things came together in December of 1932 when in the same decree, Stalin and Molotov signed a decree on the requisition of the grain, which led eventually to the mass starvation, and on the banning of Ukrainian language publications and education out in other Soviet republics outside of Ukraine, and introducing limitations on the so-called Ukrainization policies. So on the use of Ukrainian language in Ukraine itself. And the numbers are debated. The numbers that most of the scholars work today are 4 million, but again, there are larger numbers as well that circulate. And this is the famine of 32-33 was not exclusive Ukrainian phenomenon, but most of Ukraine in the Soviet Union died in Ukraine, and Ukraine was the only place where the policy on collecting grain were coming together with the policy of the cleansing of the political leadership, sending people from Moscow to take over the leadership and attack on Ukrainian culture. So in terms of what I learn about human nature, it's more me learning about the ideologies of the 20th century, because it's not the only famine in the communist lands. The famine in China, which was, in terms of the numbers, much more devastating than that. It's in a different category and for a good reason, but you have Holocaust. What unites these things is the time. This is 20th century. What unites them are the dominance in the societies that are doing that, really ideologies that not just devalued human life, but considered that actually the way forward is by destroying large group of populations defined ethnically, religiously, socially, or otherwise, which tells about the time, but tells also about humanity, because for centuries before that, human life was valued. There were enemies, but the idea was that human life can put, and you can, at the end of the day, they can be slaves. You can use them for productive force. Countries in the 18th century with southern Ukraine, they were looking for settlers, for people to bring and live on land. You move into the 20th century and there is mass destruction of the population in the name of ideologies, which basically are, by definition, destroy human lives. And that's what's really so shocking and striking, because that's that break with not just with issues of morale, not just with issues of humanity, with any common sense, what is happening. And I am absolutely convinced that we didn't learn the lesson. I am absolutely convinced that we didn't learn the lesson. With turning our page on fascism and communism, we somehow decided that we are free of that. That at least in those terms, history came to an end. That what is ahead is the future, and nothing of that sort would happen, would take place, to a degree that people would get in trouble for comparing any statements or events that are happening today with either communism or fascism. And so I feel responsibility of myself and as a historian in particular for not doing a better job about telling people that, well, we are who we are, and we have as humans our dark side, and we have to be very careful.
So there is a human capacity to be captured by an idea, an ideology that claims to bring up a better world, as the Nazis did, as Soviet Union did, and on the path of doing that, devaluing human life. That we will bring a better world, and if millions of people have to be tortured on the way to that, all right, but at least we have a better world, and human beings are able to, if not accept that, look the other way.
Yes. And in the name of a particular nation or race, like with the Third Reich, or in the name of the humanity of the future. So not just devalue human life, destroy human life.